Virtual reality. You may have heard of it. A small device that you wear around your head and automatically get transported into a completely different world. Some of you may have even used it for video games or watching movies. Some of you may have even tried the simulations it has to offer. Yet although all of these are valid uses of VR, this versatile technology is not exclusively geared toward entertainment purposes. In fact, VR technology is rapidly expanding into more professional fields and is being used to train, teach, and even treat people.
Virtual reality has a long history behind it. It started as early as the 1800s with a similar form of virtual reality with the use of double mirrors and stereoscopes. The stereoscope was eventually turned into the Viewmaster, a form of virtual reality goggles still to this day. The actual experience of virtual reality can be said to be discovered by Jaron Lanier in the 1980s with the goggles and gloves. Others argue that virtual reality started long before that.
In order for someone to be able to defend their country, he or she must go through intense training. Troops must be prepared for any dangerous situation that can arise during combat and must know what to do in dire situations. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to gather combat training without actually being in combat. This is where virtual reality becomes a useful tool. Virtual reality can simulate a situation where troops are forced to endure combat. Unlike the classical headset, virtual reality is highly immersive, so the troop has as much sensory engagement as possible. This results in a far more complex VR setup that includes headgear to simulate sight and hearing, a handheld device to simulate a firearm, and a treadmill to simulate motion. Combined, this creates a hyper-realistic scenario without actually having to bring the troop into combat. Virtual reality can also serve as a useful navigation tool for troops in training. Instead of traveling abroad and getting used to the foreign geography, a soldier can train with a headset that simulates that given geography of a specific region where he or she will be deployed. This allows troops to be more familiar with their surroundings.
Although virtual reality is a highly used tool by the military, there are other uses for it that do not involve combat. Another prevalent use of virtual reality that is steadily gaining traction is its use in the medical setting. As we know, surgery is very complicated and a high-risk task. The smallest mistake can lead to a life or death situation, so it's crucial for surgeons to be well trained for operations.
The old-fashioned way of training a surgeon is through observation and by practicing on cadavers. But with the growth of virtual reality technology, surgeons have yet another option to practice their surgical skills. This involves simulating a surgery. The doctor in training wears a headset and holds two handheld devices that are extremely sensitive to motion. This simulates an operation without having the mess of an actual body to practice on.
Besides surgically training, the use of virtual reality in healthcare also spans to treating people that are psychologically impaired.
An Oculus VR headset can simulate a peaceful environment that can help a patient relax during therapy. This is mainly used on patients who suffer from anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and phobias. A study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry in 2014 states that this type of VR exposure therapy, along with the mix of medications, tremendously improves the mental health of troops that are struggling with PTSD.
Virtual reality in healthcare can also be used to calm the nerves of patients in occupational therapy. For example, a patient named Robin Maestas was receiving treatment for her ovarian cancer that made her feel very anxious. Virtual reality was used to distract her from the extreme side effects of the medicine. It can make patients feel more comfortable in a time of need, especially in rough medical situations like this one.
Some of the therapy used to help with mental illness and anxiety is called virtual reality graded exposure therapy, VRGET. It is super effective with helping patients feel desensitized to things that would usually trigger them. According to Psychology Today, in a controlled study, VRGET and conventional cognitive behavioral therapy were equally effective in the treatment of panic disorder with agoraphobia. However, patients who underwent VRGET required 33% fewer sessions. Controlled studies have demonstrated the effectiveness of VRGET in many specific phobias, including fear of flying, fear of heights, fear of small animals, fear of driving, and so on. In one controlled study, 65% of adults, 45 total subjects, diagnosed with a specific anxiety disorder reported significant reductions in 4 of 5 anxiety measures.
VR is also used in the business world as it helps increase productivity while reducing costs. Many businesses are training new employees with virtual reality technology. It takes up less time and money spent on managers training these future employees while still getting the full experience and feeling as if it was done by a real person. In 2017, Walmart partnered with virtual reality creator Striver to prepare employees for Black Friday sales since this event is not an everyday occurrence. They have purchased 17,000 headpieces to use towards its business. It can also provide virtual tours of their business environments to anyone seeking a position at the company. Along with helping employees, virtual reality also improves retail. In brick-and-mortar shops, VR heat mapping technology tracks the pattern of which area or product shoppers are attracted to. This helps retailers test new displays and store layouts by receiving feedback much quicker and easier.
Virtual reality brings vivid experiences such as walking alongside a volcano or seeing ancient Roman ruins to the classroom. It grabs the attention of children in school and inspires them to want to learn. There's even a direct correlation between students who use virtual reality and increased engagement. Labster, a company that created virtual labs simulations, plans to make science simulations for virtual reality. For example, students studying DNA can go through a simulation crime scene and look through DNA for clues. This technology helps students learn the material better just by performing in real-life experience.
The future of virtual reality is only going up. Virtual reality is going to keep improving, becoming more comfortable, cheaper to create, and the quality will be increasing. There are so many professional fields that virtual reality is already a gigantic part of. Virtual reality will continue to grow in those fields and help more companies, troops, patients, and trainees out. Virtual reality may seem like it is just for entertainment purposes, but many people are unaware of the many other uses. It will continue to better the lives of everyone, whether it may be playing a video game, creating a calm environment to distress, or to help train people on how to conduct surgery. Virtual reality is the future.